You're 17 years old, sitting in a university lecture hall in Tokyo, 1944, pretending to care about classical literature while secretly wondering if you'll live long enough to use any of this knowledge. The war isn't going well, but nobody says that out loud. Then a military officer walks in, interrupts your professor mid-sentence, and announces that your graduation has been moved up by 6 months. Congratulations. You've just earned your degree and a one-way ticket to the sky. Welcome to the Tokutai, the Special Attack Units, where your education ends and your death begins. The invitation to volunteer comes 3 days later. You're herded into an auditorium with 200 other students, fresh-faced kids who still smell like textbooks and optimism. An officer explains the situation with the enthusiasm of someone describing a vacation package. The Empire needs heroes. America's fleet is unstoppable through conventional means. But a plane loaded with explosives, piloted by a warrior with pure spirit, that could change everything. He makes it sound noble, necessary, and completely voluntary. Then he passes around forms asking who will volunteer for special training. Everyone's watching everyone. Your hand goes up. So does every other hand in the room. Peer pressure just became a matter of life and death. Spoiler alert, you chose death. Training begins the next week at a base in Kyushu. You expected Top Gun. You get a crash course in how to crash. Literally. The instructors are veteran pilots, men with eyes that have seen too much and say too little. They teach you the basics: takeoff, navigation, and how to aim a plane at a moving ship. Landing? That's not in the curriculum. Why waste time teaching something you'll never need? Your training plane is held together with prayers and spare parts. It rattles like a tin can full of angry wasps every time you take off. You're pretty sure it's trying to kill you before the mission does. The physical training is brutal. Dawn runs until you vomit. Drills until your muscles forget what rest feels like. And the beatings, oh the beatings. Mess up a formation, beaten. Question an order, beaten. Breathe too loudly, believe it or not, also beaten. The instructors say it's building your warrior spirit. You call it institutionalized assault with a philosophical excuse. One recruit tries to quit. He's dragged in front of everyone and publicly shamed for dishonoring his family, his ancestors, and apparently every Japanese person who ever existed. He disappears the next day. Nobody asks where he went. Nobody wants to know. By month 2, you've logged 40 flight hours, that's it. 40 hours between you and a suicide mission. Most commercial pilots train for thousands of hours. But you're not most pilots. You're a guided missile with a heartbeat. And guided missiles don't need extensive training. You learn to handle a Zero fighter loaded with 250 kilos of explosives. It flies like a drunk elephant, heavy and unresponsive. But accuracy matters more than grace. Your instructor demonstrates the attack angle. A steep dive at 50 degrees aiming for the deck or hull. Pull up too early, you miss. Pull up too late. Well, you were going to die anyway, but at least make it count. The indoctrination is constant. Every morning starts with reciting the Senjin-kun, the military code emphasizing death over surrender. You chant about honor, duty, and the emperor's divine will until the words lose all meaning and become a rhythm your mouth makes automatically. They show you propaganda films of successful kamikaze attacks, ships exploding in glorious fireballs, dramatic music swelling. They don't show you the missions that missed, the planes shot down before reaching their targets, or the pilots who panicked and ditched at sea. Failure isn't part of the narrative, neither is fear. But you feel it anyway, coiled in your stomach like a snake that won't sleep. Age 18 arrives with your orders. You're assigned to the 72nd Shinbu Squadron at Chiran Air Base in Kagoshima. This is it, the end of training and the beginning of the end. The base is organized chaos. Young pilots like you mixed with ground crews working around the clock. The atmosphere is strange, a mix of forced cheerfulness and underlying dread. Everyone knows what you're here for. You're not stationed at this base. You're stored here, waiting to be deployed like ammunition. The local townspeople treat you like living saints. Women bring you food and gifts. Children ask for your autograph. You're a hero before you've done anything. And the pressure of that expectation weighs heavier than your plane's bomb load. They give you 3 days leave before your final mission. Go home, they say. Say goodbye to your family. Don't tell them what you're doing, but somehow make peace with never seeing them again. Fun assignment. The train ride home feels surreal. Watching normal people live normal lives, buying groceries, complaining about rationing, planning for a future you know you don't have. Your mother cries the moment she sees you, even though you haven't said anything yet. Mothers know. Your father grips your shoulder with hands that tremble. Your younger sister asks if you'll come back. You lie and say yes, she's 12. She deserves at least one more lie before the truth buries her brother. You spend those 3 days memorizing everything. The way morning light filters through the paper screens. Your mother's miso soup recipe that never tastes quite right anywhere else. The sound of your father's laugh, rare and precious. The weight of your sister's head on your shoulder as you read her stories. You take mental photographs of moments you'll carry into oblivion. On the last night, your father gives you his watch. You both know you won't need it where you're going, but the gesture matters more than the gift. Your mother wraps your favorite scarf around your neck. Your sister draws you a picture of your family under a cherry tree. You fold it carefully and put it in your flight suit pocket right over your heart. Back at Chiron, the final preparations begin. Your Zero is loaded and armed. Mechanics swarm over it like ants, checking every bolt, every wire, every system. They're more careful with your plane than you are with your life. You're given a hachi maki, a white headband with a red rising sun, and told to write your final messages. Some pilots write poetry. Some write letters to parents they'll never mail. You write 3 sentences. I am honored to serve. Forgive my inadequacy. Please remember me. It's not profound, but profound feels inappropriate when you're essentially writing your own obituary at 18. The morning of your mission arrives with perfect weather. Clear skies, light winds, great conditions for dying. You're briefed on your target. An American carrier group 300 miles south. 6 pilots are flying today. You joke that it's a group project where everyone gets the same grade, death. Nobody laughs. Dark humor doesn't land well at 5 a.m. when you're about to land yourself into a warship. You eat breakfast, though your stomach protests. Rice, pickled vegetables, and the knowledge that this is your last meal. The food tastes like cardboard and regret. Suiting up feels ceremonial. Flight suit, boots, harness, headband, scarf. Each piece is a step closer to the inevitable. A photographer captures your squadron, 6 teenagers trying to look brave for posterity. You hold a puppy someone brought for the photo. The absurdity isn't lost on you, holding a symbol of life while preparing for death. The puppy licks your face. You wonder if it knows. Animals always know. The walk to your plane is the longest 100 meters of your life. Ground crew members bow as you pass. Some are crying. You climb into the cockpit, and suddenly the reality crushes you like the weight of your bomb load. This metal coffin decorated with a rising sun is your final address. You run through the pre-flight checklist on autopilot. Fuel gauge, full. Control surfaces responsive. Bomb release armed. Everything is working perfectly, which is ironic because you're about to break everything, including yourself. The engine roars to life. Vibrating through your bones, tower gives clearance. You taxi to the runway, watching the 5 other planes ahead of you take off one by one. Then it's your turn. Throttle forward, speed building, tail lifts, and you're airborne. You're flying. You're actually flying, and for one stupid, beautiful moment, you forget where you're flying to. The coastline drops away below you. Japan becomes smaller and smaller, until it's just a green smudge on the horizon. You wonder if this is what the gods see. Or maybe what the dead see. Same thing, probably. Formation flying keeps you focused for the first hour. Stay close, maintain altitude, watch for enemy fighters. The 6 of you fly in a loose V, like geese migrating to a destination none of you want to reach. Your radio crackles with static and occasional check-ins. Everyone's calm, professional. The fear is there, but it's buried under layers of training and duty, and the simple fact that turning back isn't an option. You're 100 miles out when the first Zero is shot down. Anti-aircraft fire from a destroyer screen, black puffs of smoke suddenly blossoming around you. One moment he's flying. The next he's a fireball arcing into the ocean. 5 left. The carrier group appears on the horizon. It's massive, more ships than you expected, and your stomach drops harder than your altitude. This isn't a battle. It's an execution with extra steps. More anti-aircraft fire erupts, the sky filling with explosive death. Another Zero explodes to your left, 4 left. Your hands grip the control stick so hard your knuckles turn white. Target acquired, the lead pilot radios. Beginning attack run, this is it. No more training. No more anything. You push the stick forward, entering your dive. The carrier grows larger in your sights, filling your entire world. Anti-aircraft tracers stream past your canopy, like deadly fireworks. Your plane shudders from near misses. The altimeter spins backward, 1,000 meters, 2,000 meters. The deck of the carrier is massive now, covered in tiny figures scrambling. They're shooting at you, and you're aiming at them. And the math of this exchange is horrifyingly simple. 1,000 meters. Your engine screams. Your heart screams louder. You think of your mother's miso soup, your father's watch, your sister's drawing pressing against your chest. 100 meters. You see the faces of sailors on deck. They're not faceless enemies. They're kids like you, terrified kids in different uniforms fighting a war nobody really wins. 100 meters. Your finger hovers over the bomb release, but you realize with crystal clarity that releasing it defeats the purpose. You're the bomb. Your plane is the bomb. This is what you trained for, what you volunteered for under duress, what your entire short life has been pointing toward. 100 meters. Time doesn't slow down like they said it would. It speeds up. The carrier deck rushes toward you at 500 kilometers per hour. You whisper something, maybe a prayer, maybe a curse, maybe just noise. And then impact fire, the sound of everything ending at once. Your sacrifice joins 3,999 others, kamikaze pilots who thought their deaths would change the war. They didn't. Japan surrendered anyway. The ships you damaged were repaired. The sailors you killed were replaced. The war ended the same way it was always going to end, with or without your particular explosion. Your family receives a letter saying you died honorably for the emperor. Your name is added to a memorial at Yasukuni Shrine, alongside thousands of other boys who never got the chance to become men. Your sister keeps your picture on her nightstand for 60 years. Your mother never stops setting an extra place at dinner. Your father's watch, the one he gave you, is at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, still ticking until the water pressure crushes it, much like the pressure crushed you. They called you the divine wind, Kamikaze, a supernatural force that would save Japan. But you weren't divine. You were 18, terrified, and given a choice that wasn't really a choice. You weren't a hero or a villain. You were a symptom of an empire that ran out of weapons and started using its children instead. So you flew into the sunset like they asked. You just didn't mention that the sunset was made of fire, steel, and the shattered remains of futures that never got to happen.